Wednesday the 8th of August and I've left Borth about probably 40 minutes, an hour ago, something like that, and I'm now looking down onto the bay and it looks fantastic from here. You get a really good view from the tops of these hills. Today I'm walking back to Aberystwyth. I got the train out here earlier as usual, absolutely packed again, and the reason I want to do this today is that once I get to Aberystwyth I can then start going and looking for campsites to the south of Aberystwyth, which is important to me, and also this finishes off this kind of leg of the walk. I've got to be dead honest with you, I don't really feel like it at all today. That's why I'm pleased that it's only about 5 miles in length, so it's, when I say an easy walk, it's very, very hilly this, but it's only a short distance walk. It should only take me somewhere between 2 and 3 hours to actually get back to the van, which is right in the centre of Aberystwyth. And yesterday's walk from Machynlleth to Borth was a great walk, apart from the torrential rain that we had for a spell of about 20 minutes, but it cleared up. But the last 4 miles were through a nature reserve, or most of it was through a nature reserve, and it was long ryegrass that was probably nearly 2 to 3 feet high, and it really took it out of me. It was really, really awkward. The ground was really rutted. You had to be careful where you was walking, and it wasn't pleasurable at all. And at the end of it I was quite exhausted, which is not like me. But the other thing is I woke up this morning at 4 o'clock. I just couldn't get back to sleep at all, and so I didn't have a very good night for whatever reason, and so I feel a bit tired today. But when I say the good news, from tomorrow evening, Friday evening, it's forecast rain right throughout Saturday and Sunday for 48 hours, so I'm going to have an enforced rest, which is going to confine me to doing work in the van, but that's a good thing because it needs a good clean up. I've got a lot of work to do on my computer, backing things up and all the things that to keep it in order. All my log needs doing, so that I know exactly how many steps I've walked and how many miles I've done and how far I need to go, and also some future planning, because by Monday, when the weather hopefully clears up, I'll be then getting down to Aberystwyth, that direction, and then that's the beginning of the Pembroke Coast Walk, which everybody tells me is beautiful, and they say it takes about 2 weeks to complete it, so that's going to be a big challenge. But another reason why I was tired this morning, it was very, very damp in the van last night. The temperature dropped quite a lot, and there was a lot of condensation and dampness in the air, and the sun didn't really come up until about probably 8 o'clock to give some warmth to the van. And that also had that also created a problem with my computers, because they were damp as well and they weren't working properly. I had to switch them off just as a precautionary measure, which means that I didn't get the latest instalment of I think it's day 120 onwards, I think it is. I didn't get that loaded onto YouTube, but I should be able to do that this evening when I get back, because there is a good reception area in Aberystwyth, and I'm not sure what it's going to be like south of there. So I'm going to press on this walk. I've seen loads of people walking in the other direction who have obviously set off from Aberystwyth walking down, and they tell me it's very hilly and hard walk and all the rest of it. But you know, as I say, I might feel better as I go along, but I do feel tired today, and just lacking energy and all that kind of stuff. So I should recover. It's not very often I feel like this, but I just feel a bit flat and a bit low. Well, I'm about halfway now between Borth and Aberystwyth, and I bumped into this gentleman called John. Now, he's on an adventure. Tell us about it, John.
Well, I'm walking from my home area, my roots in the Manchester area, round the coasts of the Irish Sea. That's the northwest of England, southern Scotland, across to Ireland, down the east coast of Ireland, across to Fishguard in southwest Wales, and on my way up round the shores of Cardigan Bay. Before you become gobsmacked at such a challenge, I must confess that I started in 2004.
Yes.
So I'm hoping to finish in a couple of years' time.
Right.
A lot of breaks, obviously, during the route round.
Yes, I could imagine. And so how many miles is that in total?
Now, that's a very good question. I'm estimating that with all the ins and outs, of the order of 1,500 to 2,000 miles.
Right, that's a big area then, isn't it? Wow. So how many times have you actually been across to Ireland? And have you completed any of the stretches?
I've done the Irish,
done that.
Basically from Belfast down through Dublin to the coastal port of Rosslare in County Wexford.
Yes.
I have had the pleasure of having lived in Ireland for a while. It's an area I'm very fond of, fond of the people and the geography of the place, the way of life, etc.
Right. So what made you think of doing something like that? That's I've never heard. That's quite unique.
Well, the inspiration was a guy you'll have heard of, I trust, called Michael Palin.
Yes.
Who went round the world in 80 days to polish up his television persona, but then also did a similar journey around. It was called Full Circle. It was around the Pacific Ocean.
Ah, right.
I thought really that was a bit too optimistic for me, so I took that as an inspiration, looked a bit nearer home,
yes.
Realised I had a lot of very happy memories around the shores, the coast of the Irish Sea,
yes.
that I'd revisit those and obviously fill in a lot of gaps along the way.
Right, and if it's not too a personal question, how old are you then, John?
73.
73.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
That's incredible. And how many miles a day would you have walked over those periods?
Well,
then?
I mean, obviously when I started I was in my late 50s, but I like to think that my range has not altered. I probably do between 10 and 15 miles a day.
Yes, that's more or less what I'm doing.
I seek to enjoy it. It's not something. I don't want to beat myself up or anything like that. It's all about the fun of it.
Well, exactly. This is the same with me. I've got the philosophy that around every corner you meet somebody really interested, and you see something completely new.
That's true.
And you know, I've met some wonderful people on this walk that I would never have walked, never done before. And in the same way as I've been to Anglesey before, I've never been off the A55 until I walked around the thing.
Yes,
and it's then when you see the natural beauty of a place, when you've been on the coastal path walks.
And the wildlife comes to meet you as well. I don't know if you're interested in birds, but just the other side of the cream house there,
yes,
I've been taking photographs of chough.
Yes.
They say chough are very rare in Wales, but I'm happy to say that whenever I come to the Welsh coast, I always seem to find them, or they find me. So,
well, that's great. That's great. And I know there's an attraction here for the dolphins and things on this coast.
Certainly lower down. Newquay is probably the area that's most famous for bottlenose dolphins and porpoises, and there are boat trips from there. But I think Cardigan Bay as a whole is a hot spot for marine mammals.
Right. Okay. And when you're doing this travelling, how do you manage your transport then? Are you doing more or less the same as me with the vehicle that you go A to B?
Yes,
and that
yes.
kind of,
sometimes it's a day trip, as is today. Other times it's a short break.
Yes.
But always I'm looking to. I'm doing a linear walk, but at the end of the day, one has to usually get back to where you started from. Certainly, if it's a day trip.
Okay.
And that can be fun as too. I particularly enjoy the use of public transport to do that. And in this area, the Cambrian Coast Railway line is a joy.
Absolutely.
As well.
And apart, I mean, you'll know that you can't use your bus pass in this country, can't you?
You know, I've not got a bus pass.
You've not got a bus
No,
pass?
no,
Oh,
no.
blimey.
I do have a senior rail card.
Yes,
though.
yeah, I've got one of those. Well, the bus pass in England was great, but I know Scotland don't accept it either, and neither do Wales, apart from people from Chester for some reason.
Well, of course, it's the joys of devolution, isn't it? That
Yes.
I think Welsh bus passes are not accepted in Scotland, and there's all that sort of nonsense. So
yes.
better not to have one at all.
So the last question then, how far are you off finishing this walk then, John?
Well, I think 2020 is a nice round number. I'll be 75 then, so
Yes. Hang up your
you
boots.
can almost see a lot of the route from here right round onto the Clay
Yes.
Peninsula. So, but yes, 2020 to finish that. But there are all sorts of other things
Right.
I enjoy doing with my walking capabilities. Long
Yeah.
may they remain.
Well, congratulations in advance.
Thank you very much.
It's been a great pleasure
Yes.
meeting you, John. That's a wonderful adventure.
Well, and for me it's a great pleasure to have met you, Jim, and I shall be logging on, not just to see how dreadful I look on camera, but just to see how you're getting on in the next few days.
Well, that's very kind of you. Thank you very much indeed, John.
Okay, it's a
Thank you.
pleasure.
Bye.